Hello guys, how are we doing? Anyways, for today, I will be ranking the Transformers movies based on my opinion. So, if you disagree with me, hey, it's your opinion. It's all good. So, don't don't threaten me with death threats or any of that. So, I will be ranking the movies off of my own opinion and a little bit of the writing, the CGI, and etc. Just what makes the movie good, what we remember about the movie, not just solely based on my Bayverse glaze. But anyways, we will get right into the list. Anyways, guys, let's get started with the 86 movie. Now, the G1 film had some amazing moments, and its animation was absolutely beautiful. I mean, we got some amazing toys back then, and with Studio Series, they are absolutely cooking with the 86 movie toys right now. Now, this movie does have its issues, but it's a really good movie. But with it being the first movie and more of a glorified toy commercial, if you will, because they were trying to put out the old cast and put in the new cast to sell more toys, which did not work very well, especially since, they killed our boy Optimus. Well, I do understand why they did this, because they were trying to pass the mantle on to the new character known, as Hot Rod, of course. But it just angered so many fans. It's unreal. And to this day, he is still blamed for Optimus being, killed. Anyways, there's a lot more to talk about this movie, like Galvatron killing Starscream, his duel with Hot Rod, and many others. Like Optimus absolutely bodying the Decepticons, and then going into the fight against Megatron, the best fight we have seen in the entirety of G1, in my opinion, was him just absolutely slaughtering these cons and then beating the crap out of Megatron. It was awesome. And for it being the very first Transformers movie, and having some of the most iconic scenes in the entirety of the franchise, I have to put it in peak. And next up is 2007. The Bayverse is just amazing, and this movie is a really strong movie, not as only just a Transformers movie, but as a movie in general. It opened up a huge universe that made amazing amounts of money, generations of fans, and it's absolutely insane what Michael Bay did with these movies, and I appreciate it. I love Bayverse so much. Now, Bayverse does get hate for its Optimus, and that's mainly G1 fans. I gotta admit it, it's mainly G1 fans. He's not a psycho. He is a leader that lost a planet that is forced to do the extreme to protect humanity and his Autobots. Anyways, this movie also had Shia LaBeouf as Sam, and Sam was a very different human character. At the start of the movie, he seemed a little bit annoying, but I do enjoy Sam in these movies. I never had a big problem with him, like most. Now, I really do like the idea of Megatron being frozen in ice and them reverse engineering his technology for cars, etc. Also, I love the Allspark in this movie. I love the MacGuffins that the Transformers have. They're just so cool. We got Lennox, the best written human in all of Bayverse, and we got Simmons being peed on by Bumblebee. I did like the idea of Sector 7, though, a secret government agency that is, they keep aliens hidden, basically. And because 2007 was a really, really good movie, not just as a Transformers movie, but as a standalone movie, and the CGI was amazing, the story was great, the voice acting, everything was phenomenal in this movie, I have to put it over the 86 movie. Now, next up is Revenge of the Fallen, the most underrated Bayverse movie, but yet it still has a lot of issues, especially with the writing because of the writer's strike. But the first half of this movie was freaking cinema, dude. The fight, the forest fight, the chasing the Decepticons down with Nest was so sick, dude. Sideswipe, slicing freaking sideways in half. And oh my god, I loved the twins too. Anyways, if you guys didn't already know, I think this movie is extremely underrated because the CGI, the sound design, the freaking Linkin Park song at the end, aka New Divide, everything about this movie was so fun to me growing up, especially since I grew up with Bayverse and Aligned. I used to watch this every day. Yet, Dark of the Moon is still my favorite Bayverse movie, but I remember seeing this before Dark of the Moon. Not in theaters, of course, because I would have been 2 years old. But, yeah, I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I still really do. I really love the fights in this movie. I love the introduction of the Fallen. There's nothing more to be said, so I just gotta put this at a good spot on the ranking. Well, the tier list. So Revenge of the Fallen, because of the writing, because, well, there was a writer's strike, so it was very, very quickly made. I gotta put it in good. Even though the first half of the movie was great, like the Nest chase, the forest fight, etc., the movie kind of fell apart towards the end, even though it was a really good fight. So, it's in good. And now, onto my favorite movie, and, in my opinion, the best movie in the franchise, Dark of the Freaking Moon. Anyways, I love to talk about this movie. I think the plot is amazing, especially with the Ark crash landing, Sentinel making a deal with Megatron, and the whole final battle with Optimus swooping in and kicking Decepticon ass. It was so cool. I do think this movie had an amazing soundtrack with some amazing OSTs, amazing CGI, a great cast, great CGI, and just really, really good fighting scenes. The action in this movie was just amazing. From the start in the movie to the end, there was action. There wasn't an hour wait for the Transformers to finally show up. It's just a great blockbuster movie in general. It's not just a great Transformers movie. It is the Transformers movie, in my opinion. And with that, we had such an amazing toy line with this movie in both Studio Series and the original Dark of the Moon toy lines. I really do like the idea of some humans making a deal with Sentinel and, well, not Sentinel, making a deal with Soundwave and Megatron, and then the space bridge technology transporting Cybertron to Earth, and Cybertron actually being bigger than Earth and not moon-sized. I really liked that idea. I love that Optimus was forced to face his old mentor, Sentinel, the original leader of not just the Autobots, but all Cybertronians, as we see in the comics, like Foundation and Defiance. But those are prequel comics. I'll get to that another day. But yeah, I think the fight between the two of these guys was just fantastic. The introduction of Dino and the Wreckers was sick. I love that. Well, Ironhide actually got a little bit of spotlight in this movie too, killing 2 Dreads. Well, not really alone. He had help with Sideways, but quote-unquote, the last dismissed. It was so cool. So, Dark of the Moon being my favorite movie, and in my opinion, the best movie out of all of them. It's going over at 07 in peak, because it is the most peak Transformers movie known to man. Next up is Predacons Rising. It's a really fun movie. Its runtime is only like an hour, 10 minutes long, but in that time, they made a really dang good movie. We all love aligned continuity. By far, it is like the best universe in all of the Transformers. Honestly, though, I think this movie would have made more sense if it was called Unicron Rising because, well, the only actual Predacons, there were only 3 of them. There was Predaking, Skylynx, and of course, Dark Steel, but this movie is basically about the Autobots going back to Cybertron and trying to rebuild. Anyways, the movie picks up right where it left off in Transformers Prime with them returning as Cybertron, but it's a little bit different, a little bit of a time jump where the Decepticons are actually helping the Autobots rebuild the surface while others are in prison like Knockout and Starscream and etc. I really do like the idea of Unicron taking over, well, Megatron's body and Optimus trapping Unicron in the Allsparks container, if you'd call it that. And then Megatron ending the Decepticons. He is like, you know what? I'm a dumbass. I'm going to end this. Starscream, you're in charge. Well, he didn't really say that. He put Starscream in his place, but yeah. And Optimus sacrificing himself to restore the planet, to allow Energon to flow back through the planet was just such a good send-off for his character. Although he does come back in RID 2015 to fight the Fallen, well, Megatronus kind of saved Optimus. And with that, the animation is beautiful, soundtrack beautiful. It's just Transformers Prime, like a super long episode. So with that and Predacons Rising actually being a pretty good Transformers movie, I'm going to put it in great. It does have a little bit of issues, but it's a dang good Transformers movie. There's nothing else to say about it. And next up, we have Age of Extinction. Now, this movie, like Dark of the Moon, I saw in theaters, and I remember really enjoying this back in 2014. But looking back at it, it messed up the timeline and the Bayverse so much. But I am happy that Bay continued, well, the movies, especially Age of Extinction was a really fun movie. Even though it was not, perchance, a great movie, it was a really cool movie. I liked the concept of humans hunting Autobots and then, well, making their own Cybertronians. I also really liked the introduction to Lockdown. And of course, we got the Dinobots and a complete new cast of Autobots besides Bumblebee and Optimus. We got to see Drift, we got to see Hound, Crosshair. Brains made a return out of all people. Just different human cast as well, because we had Cade, his daughter, her boyfriend. I can't remember their names. But this movie has super iconic moments that, as a Bayverse fan, I remember to this day. I could even, do entire parts of this movie in my head. Even though it's not a good movie, it's a decent movie. I will say that. And I like this movie a lot more than Rise of the Beast. You'll see that later. But the CGI, the action, everything in this movie was great. But the designs were a little bit of a major turn from what they should have been. Also, I didn't mind Cade, but I do see why people do not like him as a character and much prefers Sam, aka the Crash Out guy. And I really like to see Joshua Joyce just being an idiot. I do kind of like the story, even though it's very convoluted, like the Autobots being hunted down and the seed and Optimus having to be returned to his creators. But yeah, Age of Extinction was a very weird movie that messed up the timeline, and a lot of the parts of the movie was not written well. It's not a very well-written movie. So it was pretty decent for what it was, though, so I'll put it in decent. And now we're on the crappiest movie, The Last Night. I mean, I really did like Hot Rod in this movie. I loved Hot Rod in this movie. And all the other old Autobots that were shown. But the plot of this movie was so hard to follow. It was just so bad. Although Megatron being voiced by Frank Welker and having a really cool design was sick in my opinion. Honestly, the best part of this movie is Optimus slicing the Infernicons' heads off and Megatron getting his little crew. Yeah, this movie is just really, really bad. The CGI isn't, though. There was a lot of money put into this and a lot of hype. And the toy line was a pretty cool one. It's just unfortunate with the plastic quality. And I have most of the Premiere Edition figures. I did like that Lennox returned. I loved him in this movie. I loved his little interaction with Bumblebee at the start of the movie. I loved Barricade and Bee's redesigns for this movie. Also, Hound and Drift got a little bit of a redesign each. And then there was Nemesis Prime, and they did not do him very well in this movie. Also, the Knights really did not make any freaking sense, especially after reading the comics. It was cool to see them tied more into humans' history, but that kind of defeats the whole purpose of, well, the first trilogy of Bayverse movies, where it was all established already, and it kept changing. I do enjoy the action scenes of this movie. I like the voice acting. It's not a good movie at all. I never really liked it that much. I will say that Age of Extinction looks like a masterpiece compared to this movie. But the comedy of this movie was there. I'll say that this movie was freaking hilarious. And I love that everybody was just like, no, absolutely not, when Megatron wanted to get Berserker. Anyways, The Last Night is just really bad, so I'm going to rank it at the bottom pits of the freaking tier list. And so it's going in the very bottom at Give Me Your Face. And now we're on the Bumblebee movie. Now, this movie released in 2018, which was a pretty good year of movies, just outside of Transformers, because, of course, this was the only movie, but it's a damn good one. Bayverse fans, G1 fans, Align fans, all of us united for this movie. It's so good. The whole Cybertron scene at the start was so just amazing. We got to see a live action, basically G1 Optimus. We got to see their Cybertronian modes and everything. In Bayverse, we had to read the comics to see their Cybertron modes. In Aligned and TFP, where we barely saw any Cybertronian modes besides like Megatron and Dreadwing. This movie had so much to offer. It's amazing. It has some of the best humans ever written in a Transformers movie or show, like in anything. It had amazing CGI, amazing voice casting. It's just great. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see Megatron in the movie, but we got to see Shockwave, we got to see Soundwave, Skywarp, Starscream, Thundercracker, and a bunch of copy-pasted Seekers. I really love the idea of Shatter and Dropkick hunting the Autobots and hunting for Bumblebee. And I really love Blitzwing hunting Bee and fighting him, and everybody thought he was going to be Starscream when the trailer came out, myself included. I also really like the Easter eggs to Bayverse and G1 in this movie with, well, Sector 7 being a thing, Simmons being in the movie, all the G1-ish designs, the time period, and etc. It's just a really good movie. And as a Bayverse fan, I love Bayverse more, especially Dark of the Moon, but I love this movie. So I'm going to put it pretty high up there. So Bumblebee is a really good movie, and I really like it. Like I said, this is just based off of my opinion, a little bit of the writing, CGI, whatever, right? I do not think it is better than 07. I do not think it's better than Dark of the Moon. I will put it in great, because it's a really good movie, but it does have some of its issues, like the Autobots and Decepticons being way, way, way weaker. Just some of the story, the plot, the changing of the movie. and how confusing it was, where people thought it was actually a Bayverse prequel, but no, it's starting of a new universe because it was a reboot. But yeah. And now we got Rise of the Beasts. Now, I love Beast Wars. I think it is one of the best Transformers shows of all time, but one of the greatest cartoons in general of all time. But the same cannot be said for this movie because it is not great. The CGI is very sloppy at times. The voice acting is very sloppy at times. But I really do like the Predacons and Noah Diaz. I actually prefer Optimus Primal over all the Autobots and Optimus himself in this movie. The soundtrack of this movie was amazing too. Why did they kill Bumblebee at the start of the movie for no reason again? The action and the fight scenes are great, but the CGI and just the story is not great. It's very convoluted. We got to see Unicron before Megatron, and Unicron kind of just showed up, ate a planet, and then showed up again later. Like, you're supposed to build up Unicron over time. I get that this is a sequel of Bumblebee and they didn't really know what they were doing. I did get the hype for this movie, and I remember really enjoying it when I saw it in theaters. But going back and watching this movie, I realized it's just not a great movie. If they kept that transit scene at the start of the movie, it would have been so much better, honestly. I really did enjoy the designs of all the characters in this movie, though. I don't see the hate of the Rise of the Beast Optimus design. And I loved Pete Davidson as Mirage. That was pretty epic. And Scourge was voiced by Peter Dinklage. That was a surprise, and he delivered with Scourge. We got one of the best live-action Transformers villains in this movie with Scourge. Anyways, I think Rise of the Beast was a pretty decent movie. I'm not going to put it undecent with Age of Extinction. I'll put it good. But surprisingly, I'm going to put it under Revenge of the Fallen. I mean, it's a good movie. It's very confusing at times. The CGI is really meh most of the time. For a movie that had an amazing build-up. It had an amazing trailer. Everybody was so excited. Just for it to be just a good movie. It's not great. It's not anything. It's just good. So, we are now on to TF1, the fan favorite Transformers movie. Now, this movie is really, really, really good. It is an amazing movie. Just like Dark of the Moon, it's not just a good Transformers movie. It's a great movie in general. There's a lot of new concepts in this movie that haven't been used, but there was also a lot of older concepts and music used from, like, aligned continuity, Bayverse sound effects, etc. It's just very, very unfortunate it failed at the box office. Well, kind of, because the marketing for this movie, that team was awful. TF Hype Guy single-handedly made this movie a thing, honestly. Anyways, this movie is just fantastic. I love it so much. I love the fights between Sentinel being an evil, backstabbing, two-faced bad guy. I love to see Megatron's fall to, becoming a Decepticon. And it's just a really, really good story in general. Like, all the Autobots, everything. There were no factions. It was Quintessence, Primes, Miners, and Racers, basically. And the toys for this movie are actually really, really good. There's not many of them. Transformers 1 just was a beautiful movie. It was very well written. It brought in so many new concepts. And yet they are not planning a freaking sequel to this movie. And it's fantastic. They even included the Primes in this movie. And we got to see a Megatronus Prime that was not evil. And that's just amazing. And this movie is highly regarded as the best Transformers movie. But you know my opinion. I'm going to put it above 07, but under Dark of the Moon. Because Dark of the Moon is my GOAT. And there's the list. And anyways, like, subscribe, do whatever. J-Tank out.